Good morning. It's Tuesday of the first week of Advent, and this Advent season always raises a similar question in my head. What are we waiting for? If Advent is a season of waiting and hope and longing and expectation, what exactly are we waiting for? Because, we think of Advent as leading up to Christmas. We can't be waiting for the birth of Christ. That's happened. We're ready, more than ready, to celebrate the birth of Christ. What are we waiting for? Well, today's readings are really helpful, I think, in this regard, because the first reading from Isaiah is the classic. It's the promise of the one who will come with a spirit of wisdom and counsel and understanding and knowledge and fear of the Lord. And then the lamb and the wolf will lie down together, and the leopard and the kid will be joined. Then, then God will make things right. And in that second reading, in the gospel, Jesus says, hey, guess what? I'm it. Blessed are the eyes that see me and the ears that hear me, because there have been prophets and kings who have longed for me and never gotten a chance. You do, he tells the people. You're seeing it. So it might make us ask, of course, the obvious question, well, what happened to the dream? What happened to the vision of a world restored? What happened to the lion and the lamb and the kid and the adder and the snake and all of those people having a party together? What's going on? Didn't happen. And this is a huge shift in the consciousness of Judaism at the time and the consciousness of the early Christians. Awaiting the return of the Lord turned out to be an awful long wait. And perhaps the kingdom that we awaited, this kingdom of the dream of peace, is not something that is brought about by a mighty act of God, but something rather that the Lord has empowered us to be instruments of. He has given us a vision of the peace in his own life, of how to live our lives, to be instruments of peace. And that becomes the goal. So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for the day when we really integrate that into our hearts, of opening ourselves up to God's love and God's grace and becoming instruments of peace. Now, this year, during the Advent season, it's not hard to guess what waiting is about. The Lord has dumped a pandemic on us to remind us that we're not in control all the time, to remind us that sometimes patient waiting is the order of the day, and that we can be instruments of it. And during this time, finding special ways to not just wait, but break through the waiting, making it happen, even in COVID days, reaching out to one another. Heck, I hope we've tried a little bit of that ourselves with our fall Emmaus meetings on baseball fields and parking lots, making it happen, finding ways each day to make it happen. So I've been coughing and hacking recently, and so my daughter is doubly cautious of me being near the girls. So I really haven't seen much of them this week. I have been under the weather. And yesterday, feeling a bit better, I went out, and it was dark already, 5:30 or so, and they were at the window as I was going by. And I ran over to the window and put my hand up against the window, and they put their hand up against my hand. And then I taught them the I love you sign, and they sat there putting their fingers together to say I love you. The waiting that I was a part of who I was being realized. But I had to turn toward them. I had to reach out. I had to put my hand out toward the window so that the waiting would end. And we could yell through the window to each other and make funny signs, "I love you so much." And I haven't really had much contact with them in at least the week. And it was so good to have a sense. So in the gospel, Jesus is saying, look, the waiting has ended. I am it. But the waiting continues. The waiting to put into practice what I have taught you, to allow my spirit to become your spirit. Peace.